Hi everyone, this is Sarfraz from Aristotle Prep, and we are looking at passage 23 from the OG13 RC chapter. This has questions 115 to 119. As always, we will first read the passage, understand it in great detail. We will come up with a purpose for the passage, and then we will approach the questions. So let's start reading the passage. The first sentence is always very important. It says, after evidence was obtained in the 1920s that the universe is expanding, it became reasonable to ask, will the universe continue to expand indefinitely, or is there enough mass in it for the mutual attraction of its constituents to bring this expansion to a halt? All I gather from the first sentence is there's a question that has been raised as to whether the universe will continue to expand, which means it is expanding right now, or whether the expansion will stop at some point in the future. So I've also figured out that the rest of the passage will probably try to answer that question. So it says then, it can be calculated that the critical density of matter needed to break the expansion and close the universe is equivalent to 3 hydrogen atoms per cubic meter. Gives you some number which has to be achieved for the expansion to stop. But the density of the observable universe, luminous matter in the form of galaxies, comes to only a fraction of this. So if the density comes only a fraction of this, then obviously the expansion will continue, because for the expansion to stop, the density has to become whatever 3 hydrogen atoms per cubic meter. So if the expansion of the universe is to stop, there must be enough invisible matter. Okay, this is interesting. So now I go back, I stop here actually, because the moment I see invisible matter, I'm thinking. In the earlier sentence, what did it say? Luminous matter. Luminous is, if you know the meaning of the word, luminous means lit up, bright. So it is comparing luminous matter, and it also talks about observable universe. And then it talks about invisible matter, which means the matter is made up of 2 kinds of matter, visible and invisible. So you see, all this I have inferred, all this I have understood. I stopped because I saw invisible, I went back and I made this connection. It's very, very important not to just blindly keep reading, but to keep making these connections. Where did invisible matter come into the picture from? Okay, that's how it came into the picture. So that kind of understanding is important. So again, if the expansion of the universe is to stop, there must be enough invisible matter in the universe to exceed the luminous matter in density by a factor of roughly 70. Whatever. So basically, because luminous matter is very, very little in density, so non-luminous obviously has to counter that density, and it gives you a number. It has to exceed luminous matter by 70. If it does exceed luminous by 70, then the expansion can stop sometime in the future. If it does not, then the expansion of the universe will not stop. All that I have understood from the first paragraph. So now the second paragraph. Our contribution to the search for this missing matter. The missing matter is that invisible matter. So our contribution to the search for this missing matter has been to study the rotational velocity of galaxies at various distances from their center of rotation. Fine, whatever. It has been known for some time that outside the bright nucleus of a typical spiral galaxy, luminosity falls off rapidly with distance from the center. Okay, that I understood. So as you move farther from the center of the galaxy, the luminosity goes down. If luminosity were a true indicator of mass, most of the mass would be concentrated toward the center. Understood again? Since most luminosity is toward the center, then most of the mass should be towards the center. Outside the nucleus, the rotational velocity would decrease geometrically with distance from the center in conformity with Kepler's law. This is something that would happen. It doesn't say it's happening. Okay, just keep that in mind. Words like would are very, very important. Because the next sentence actually makes it clear. It says instead. So a contrast comes in. Instead, we have found that the rotational velocity in spiral galaxies either remains constant with increasing distance from the center or increases slightly. So you see there's a contrast. The expectation was that as you move away from the nucleus of the galaxy, the rotational velocity will fall. But that never happened. Okay, why did it not happen? Let's see if it tells us. This unexpected result indicates that the fall off in luminous mass with distance from the center is balanced by an increase in non-luminous mass. Okay, interesting. So they are using that fact that the rotational velocity does not decrease to bring in picture the point that it is not decreasing because of the presence of non-luminous matter. It's non-luminous, you can't see it. So now the question is how much of non-luminous matter is there? Is it enough to prevent or to stop the expansion of the universe, or is it not? But definitely, the second paragraph proves that there definitely is non-luminous matter in the universe or the galaxy, whatever. That's basically the second paragraph for us. The third paragraph, now the last one, says our findings suggest that as much as 90% of the mass of the universe is not radiating at any wavelength with enough intensity to be detected on Earth. Okay, I'm assuming this is the non-luminous matter, but I could be wrong. Because it's not being detected, I'm assuming it is non-luminous. Such dark matter could be in the form of extremely dim stars of low mass, of large planets like Jupiter, or of black holes. Okay, either small or massive. Gives you some ways in which that matter, the non-luminous matter, could be present. While it has not yet been determined whether this mass is sufficient to close the universe. That's important, so we don't know. Some physicists consider it significant that estimates are converging on the critical value. So very important part from the last paragraph is we still don't know whether the universe will continue to expand or not, because we still don't know how much mass of non-luminous matter is there in the universe. But still, physicists they consider it significant that whatever estimate they have made, it is coming to some critical value. But the point is, it's still ambiguous whether the universe will continue to expand or not. The question which was asked in the first paragraph, the answer is we don't know. So the purpose of the passage is absolutely neutral. The author does not have any agenda. He is just describing things. If I have to summarize the passage, the first paragraph starts by asking a question whether the universe will expand or continue to expand, or whether it will stop expanding. And it says it is a function of two kinds of matter, luminous and non-luminous. Luminous is very, very little. So just based on luminous, the universe will not stop expanding. It will continue to expand. So whether it continues to expand, or whether it stops expanding is a function of what is the mass of the non-luminous matter. The second paragraph basically gives you some examples, or a particular example, to show that there definitely is non-luminous matter in the galaxy or universe. How much it is, we don't know. Third paragraph also says we don't know how much is the mass of this non-luminous matter. That's basically the entire passage for you. Okay, I haven't understood everything, by the way, in detail. Second paragraph, the rotational velocity and this and that. I read through it. Some of it I understood. Some of it I did not. If there's any question, I will go back and read it again. So now with that thought process, we will look at the question starting with the first one, which is 115. It's a global question, primary concern. The passage is primarily concerned with what? As I said, it's a neutral passage. So if I look at the first words, defending is the wrong word. Criticizing, again a wrong word. So A and B are out. C says summarizing, D says contrasting. Contrasting is the wrong word. E says describing. So just by looking at the first words, I have come down to C and E. C says summarizing research findings, which looks good to me. The whole thing is about research findings. E says describing an innovative technique. There is nothing innovative in the entire passage. So C straight away is the answer. So you saw how I eliminated using the first word. I try, if you've seen my other videos of other RC passages, I always try this whenever I come to a main purpose or primary concern question. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't work, but when it works, it makes life a lot easier for me. Also keep in mind, so I eliminated A, B and D just by looking at the first word, and I came down to C and E. Now it's possible, after reading C and E completely, both of them looked wrong to me. It's possible, very unlikely, but possible. Then I would go back and check A, B and D. So keep an open mind that way. But very rarely will that happen. If you've understood the passage properly, like we have in this case, very unlikely you will go wrong with something like defending or criticizing or contrasting.